Okay, well, hey, welcome, friends. We are in part 2 of our director meeting. Okay, it is December 27th, the time when we are all in the post-Christmas fight. And I'm not going to lie, was it yesterday? I mean, even yesterday feels like it was a really, really long day, even. Yesterday, what we had a family Christmas Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We had 4 Christmases in a row. I've got another one in Minnesota tomorrow. I feel like I literally was coming out of a fog coma yesterday. It was pretty intense. And all I could think of was, thank goodness I have something scheduled tomorrow that is going to get my brain back into mode. I had spent that time yesterday very purposefully. I don't know if you guys saw, I challenged everybody, hey, just spend half an hour, see what happens. I was able to really get refocused. I feel so much better about kind of coming into my January, and then hopefully tonight will really get us rocking and rolling. Okay, so we have a good night. Tonight I'm going to go ahead and get started. Some of you guys that were here a second ago heard me say that Mary Haynes is super, super ill, but what I got was Kristin Wieringa, who is a stud in the company. She is actually finishing up her title. That she is finishing up because to promote to a senior executive director team, you need to hit requirements 3 months in a row. So 9, 5, and 1, 3 months in a row. And this is month 3 for her, and she is almost there. She's got a few things to wrap up, and her team is hustling. But so she is absolutely fantastic. If you guys were at conference, you saw her on stage. She earned the Developing Leaders Circle of Honor Award, and she also did some speaking on there as well. So she is just great. She is the one that Shelly shared some of her video or whatever, her why video. So she put together some information for us just really about kind of booking. And I told her, I go, we seem to do pretty well getting our consultants started, but then after that 90 days, we seem to struggle with making them feel empowered to get the bookings themselves and to get the bookings from shows. So I asked her to give us some tips and tricks from that. So we are going to go ahead and watch that recording that we will have, and then Stephen will be joining us around 6:30. So let me get this up and sharing. Okay, here we go. Oops, let me mute me because surely my children are going to do something.
Director, and I am really excited to share with you some tips and ideas around bookings, booking blitzes, helping your team get bookings, and just making sure that everyone has a solid calendar. And this is really important because without bookings, our team doesn't have business, and our consultants will start to fall off and get, become disengaged. And as a leader, it's our job to make sure that doesn't happen and make sure that they have what they need from a booking standpoint to take this business to where they want it to go. So let's talk about booking blitzes and how to run a successful booking blitz. So I found that I really like to do booking blitzes over a 48-hour period, and I like to run them on a weekday and a weekend. So for example, maybe doing a Friday and a Saturday, or you could run them 2 days over the weekend, like a Saturday and Sunday. But the reason I do this is because if a team member wants to participate, but they work and they can't set aside a power hour during a weekday, they can make sure they can set aside time on one of their days off to participate. The other thing that I have found to work really well is to do a few pre-blitz posts. And so what I mean by that is that if you're going to blitz on a Friday and a Saturday, for example, you have to set them up for success. And so you need to be posting a few tips and ideas ahead of time to get them prepared. So the more that you can give them, the better. Some examples of this might be things like making a list of who to reach out to and giving them ideas on how to brainstorm that list. So who do you talk to and who do you reach out to? And they need to come up with that, but you can give them ideas like, look up all your friends that have birthdays this month. Look up all your friends that, their first name starts with a K, or whatever it could be. You can just brainstorm some silly things, but then they write those names down. And the next thing that you need to help them with is figuring out when they are going to blitz and encouraging them to carve out time in their calendar on the blitzing days to specifically work their business. And you can have them do this before the blitz even starts. And so they're blocking out the time in their calendar. Another pre-Blitz activity you could have them do is look at their calendar and highlight when they're available to do parties over the next 3 weeks. Ideally, you want them booking in close, and so we're not talking about filling our calendar 8 weeks from now. We're talking about filling our calendar in 2 weeks, next week, 3 weeks from now. So help them see when they're available to run parties, have them highlight their calendar and do that activity as well. And then the other activity or thing that you need to give them for them to be successful are the words to say. So you can give them, the exact words to use to reach out, and you can talk about different ways that they can blitz. And so they could do green dot messaging. If you don't know what that is, ask, and you can give them words to use when they green dot. You could give them something that they could text to their friends. You could give them something they could email their contact list in Consultants Corner. You could give them something they could use for words to reach out for customer care to everyone who has ordered from them in the last 4 months or 3, 2, 1 month or 6 months, whatever. Or you could give them words to reach out to hosts who have hosted with them a year ago if they've been in the business for that long, or 8 months ago to try and get a rebook from an old host. So you're laying the groundwork ahead of time. So they go into their blitzing, they go into their power hours, their time they set aside, and they're set up for success because they know who they're going to ask, what they're going to say, they know when they're available to work and do parties, and they know when they're going to start to reach out, and they know that they want to have those booked during the Blitz. Now, it's always great to incentivize your consultants to work, to do the Blitz. And so a few things that are really fun, because the more fun you can make it, the greater success everyone is going to have, right? So a few things that I like to do is anytime someone books a party, I like to have them post a GIF in the thread. So if we're doing an event, it's in the event thread. If we're doing a group, it's in the group, on the news feed in the group if you're using Facebook. So have them post a GIF and tag a friend. And so this way they are tagging someone else that they're basically saying, your turn to get a booking. And you could even give it a really fun theme. So if it's a winter blitz, it could be like a snowball blitz. And they're throwing snowballs at their friends. And so they're posting a GIF. When they get a booking, it's a snowball theme. They're tagging a friend and basically saying, I just threw a snowball at you. It's your turn to go get a booking. So anything that you can do like that to gear up the fun during the actual Blitz is awesome. And you can even have them find an accountability buddy, and that could be a pre-Blitz activity so that they are checking in with each other to see how the Blitz is going over the weekend to make sure that they're having success, they're holding each other accountable, and maybe that is who they tag when they're throwing snowballs at each other or whatever they're doing for the gifts or theme that you've picked. If it's like March, you could do a St. Patty's Day theme. Like Halloween, we did pumpkins. So you can do all sorts of really fun themes. Valentine's Day, you could do hearts or something hilarious with Valentine's gifts. So those are some great ideas during. Another thing during the Blitz, you can incentivize and do drawings for every 5 bookings that take place, or every 10 bookings, you're going to draw a winner. Or you could say, each person that gets 4 or more bookings gets a prize. And these are small things like, you can go to the Target dollar bin and find a few things that you can easily mail. You can get, I'm looking over my prize bag, trying to think of what I have in my prize bag. But it's just simple, small stuff that you can easily mail. And you could even go in with another director friend. Like, why not find another director friend? You guys do the Blitz together and you split the prizes. So that is something else that could help. So that is great. I like to have them track their bookings. I don't have time to track everybody's bookings. So after the Blitz is over, what I do is I post a Google form survey, basically asking them who booked parties, how many people, did you ask, how many bookings did you get, if you do a prize for the, for the people that get the most no's, or you can do a raffle out of every, the top 5 people that get the most no's, I will raffle a winner. Anything you can do that is raffle is better, because if you say the person that gets the most bookings, well, people give up because they think, I can't outbeat this person. I saw they just got 5 bookings. I'm just going to give up. But if it's a raffle, their odds are greater than if it's just the highest person. So instead of saying the person that gets the most no's is going to get a prize, it could be like the top 5 people with the most no's are going to get entered to win something. And so you want them tracking that. And then at the end, they fill out the survey and it says, how many no's did you get? How many bookings did you get, and that kind of thing, in their name. And then that way you're not tracking how many bookings there were, how many no's. You can just have them fill out the survey, and then you go ahead and pick your winners. So those are a few tips on running a successful booking blitz. The other thing that I like to do sometimes is run like a micro blitz. And so what I mean by a micro blitz is I will take a smaller group of my team. So if you're looking at your team roster, right, you have all these people on your team, or maybe you have a small team of 5 or whatever, more than likely you're going to have a smaller percentage of your full roster that's actually working. So if you say, okay, of my 10 team members, 5 of them are actually working, or 3 are actually working, or of my 20 team members, 10 are actually working, or 5 or whatever. Okay, you get the idea. You take the people that are actually working their business, and maybe you put them in like a Facebook group message, and then you run a blitz in the message, or you have them compete against each other to see, who can get the most whatever, and then you're raffling off prizes in there. So if you're finding that you're not getting a lot of interaction among doing a blitz with your entire team, and maybe you want to offer something special to those who are really working, or maybe you have people that are going for directorship, and maybe they definitely need to fill their calendar, go offer them a really fun incentive. So I will do that oftentimes. I'll take all the people that I have that are working towards directorship in the given month that we're working in. Like say for January, how all these people working towards director as an example. I'm going to take all of them, put them in a group message on Facebook, and I'm going to give them a booking blitz challenge, and they are going to go run that challenge because they are the ones that want to work and they're excited, and I want to give them something extra special above and beyond what I might give the entire team. Now, you never know, because a booking blitz could help someone get excited to work. So you don't want to just offer things like this in micro groups, but if you find that you have a smaller group that you're working with, they're really excited, or maybe you have all your new consultants from December and you want to help them get bookings, so you're going to run a blitz for them. Or maybe all your new consultants from November, now they're in month 2, maybe they need to get some bookings, throw them into a group message and run a micro blitz with them. So those are some examples of ways that you can leverage a blitz on a smaller setting to have greater impact. Now let's talk about how you can help your new consultants get bookings, because as a trainer, as a mentor, as a leader, it is so important that you do not skip the step of helping them get bookings. So as I'm training new consultants, I train them on a few key things, and I do it in a small section. Like, I'm going to give them this information first, and then they're going to go work on that. And then I'm going to give them this information a couple days later. So my chunks are, when they first start out, it's bookings, how to go get your bookings. And we talk about that. I have them go get their bookings. And then once they have their bookings, and I give them like 48 hours from the time that we talked about bookings to go get as many bookings as they can. And then we regroup and come back together and we do host coaching. And now they have the bookings. I'm giving them the host coaching information. Now they're going to go host coach. Okay. And so I give them a few days to work on host coaching. And then we regroup for our third training. And that training is how to actually run the party. So I have these bookings. I've been host coaching my hosts. How do I actually run the parties? And how do I do a party? We talk about that and we digest that in a training. Now, the fourth training, I do these in phone calls. So you could do them in Messenger or video chat or whatever. I do phone calls. The fourth training is within their first couple weeks, and they're usually in the middle of their first parties. So most of my consultants are virtual consultants, and so this fourth phone call is in the middle of their first parties, like I said. So this fourth call is all about how to get leads from your parties. So I taught them how to book, how to host coach, how to run the party. Now, how do we get the results from the party? We want sales, we want bookings, and we want new team members. And I talk about that. These are the three things we're looking for. And if you follow the host coach and you follow the template, you're going to get the sales. If your host is doing what they need to do, you're going to get the sales. The bookings are not just going to fall in your lap, right? You have to actually work to get your bookings. Same thing with your recruit leads. They're not just going to fall in your lap. I train everyone on this. Whether they want a fast track to director or whether they don't, it's my job to teach them how to get bookings and how to get recruit leads. And so we talk about that on that fourth call. And I will say, here is what you need to do to get bookings. And your goal as a new consultant, as a consultant in general, is to get 2 bookings from every single party that you do. And that is crucial, because if you don't get 2 bookings, you are going to run out of business. You're going to run out of your warm market, and you're not going to have any parties in month 2 or 3 or 4 of your business. And then you're going to be stuck back with your main circle of friends, and you don't want that. So how do we get bookings? Okay. So for me, I train them on how to create a really fun party experience. How do you create a fun party? And how do you add value in your parties? Because if the party is fun, people are going to want to book a party. If it was a great experience, they're going to say, that was so awesome. I want to go book a party with my friends. That was amazing. Kristin was such a fun consultant. The other way is if you're showing value, and if you're showing products that people are like, gosh, I really have to have that in my kitchen. Like, Kristin just told me how I can make breakfast, lunch, and dinner in this thing, and I can get dinner on the table in less than 20 minutes. Like, I have to have that in my life. Then they are going to possibly book a party to get that for free. So if you are showcasing products that add value, you can get bookings off of that as well. The other piece is sharing your story. And so it's really important to teach consultants how to write a really good story. And that is like a whole different training, but that is a piece of the puzzle. So how do they write a good story that includes why they started with Pampered Chef, and what they're looking forward to with their Pampered Chef business, like what they want Pampered Chef to do for them and their family. And if they write a good story, their guests are going to get to know them, they're going to like them, and they're going to trust them. And it's all about knowing, liking, and trusting. When we build that relationship with the customers and the guests in the party, they're going to want to support us. They're going to want to buy from us. They're going to want to book from us. They're going to want to join our team because they know us, they like us, they trust us. They're like, man, Kristin, what she's doing for her family, I want to support her. That sounds awesome. This chick is like working her business, supporting her family. I want to support her. Yes, I'll book a party. Okay. So you have to have those 3 factors in your parties to create this atmosphere and this experience and this know, like, and trust factor and this adding value to where people want to book parties. And then you have to ask for the booking. So I think it's really important that we give the consultants the words to use to go get the bookings. And I will say, you're going to ask every single person that's in that party to book a party. And these are the words you're going to use. And I give them the words they can simply copy and paste. So it's a matter of teaching them how to create desire in the party and what pieces need to be in the party, and then who to ask and what to say to get those bookings. So this is super important. I also give my consultants a really basic tracker. It's an Excel sheet. It's like the most basic thing. If you guys want it, I'd be happy to send it to Trina and she can give it to you. But basically, I say, fill out this tracker, and we are going to connect again around 1 month. So, I've gone over all the key training pieces. The best thing for you to do is go put this stuff in practice with every single party that you do. And I want you to track it. I want you to track all your bookings, all your sales, all your recruit leads. What results are you getting from your parties? And I want you to have that tracker with you when we chat at our 1 month check-in. And so they are tracking. And then when I connect with them a month into their business, then we see, okay, what has gone well? What areas do you need to develop and strengthen? And how's your tracker looking? Because the tracker is going to tell us where we need to invest time, energy, resources, where we need to train more. And if you see at the 1 month mark that they are not getting bookings, then that is an issue. That's a serious issue. And it's your job as a leader to make sure that you're helping them. They don't know what to do. And if you don't even know if they're getting bookings, that's an issue. You got to fix that. If you now know that they're not getting bookings, you need to fix that. So it's kind of like, okay, let's dig deeper into how do we help our consultants start off strong, and where am I lacking in knowledge to help them? What do I need to know? And then how can I take them to the next level and help them get the bookings that they need to keep their business going? And that doesn't even touch on sales or recruit leads, but it really dives into the booking aspect of it. So I hope that helps for you guys. Just give you some great tips on how to run a strong booking blitz, how to consider running micro blitzes with specific groups, and then also how to work with your new consultants to make sure that they are getting the bookings they need to run a strong business and to stay in business beyond their 60 days, their 90 days, their 120 days, so that they are getting the bookings that they need to be a successful consultant. So thank you so much for having me, you guys, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your retreat. It's going to be amazing, and take care. Bye.
She's so great. Okay. I'm going to ask her for her bookings tracker. I'm just curious to see what it looks like, because it sounds like it's just very simple. And I know that there are things on Consultants Corner that are available, but I feel like hers is probably just like, here, just do this. It was easily findable. And then I'm going to also ask her, I'm curious what she sets up for her scripts, just her word choices, to see how they work. Hey, here's what you're going to ask every single person, and here's what you're going to do. I've been in trainings and different things with her before, and I love her expectations for her consultants. Like, we know that everyone is not going to treat it like a business, but she expects everyone to. And because she expects everyone to, it's really easy for her to figure out who she's supposed to keep working with. Like, when she connects with them and says, okay, so what did they say about the kit credit when you host coach them? Well, I didn't I didn't mention it, and I didn't talk to them when I host coached. You know what I mean? Like, she just has these expectations, and it's just what's expected. And then they can either choose to be like, okay, this is what it takes to be successful, or they can kind of fall off. I love the micro blitzes when she talked about, and I love that she gave us permission to just work with the willing. Like, I was really curious. I was really thinking that when she said she was going to do those micro blitzes, I was like, oh, she's going to gather all those people that don't have any shows, and she's going to go resurrect them. And I'm like, no, because that would be a stupid idea. So I don't know why I thought that's what she was going to say. It would be a good idea in theory, but it's not going to produce fruit. And so that's crazy. Whoop, whoop. Okay, I will have us be able to, if we have any questions or anything like that, or if there is anything that you guys want me to be able to ask Kristin to send or clarify, go ahead and put it in the chat. Steve did just pop in, and so to keep us on track, because I know Cathy will be here on time, I will go ahead and have us go. Are you somewhere where we can make you start video, Steve?
Yeah, hold on, sorry.
Okay, there you go. I just want to make sure it wasn't like, nope, in my bathrobe.
Yep, nope, sorry.
Because I wouldn't put that past you. Okay, so I'm so excited that you're here today. Okay, so Steve has been with Pampered Chef only since July 2016. Okay, so just a couple years. And he promoted to executive on this July 1st. Okay, and then like he unofficially, because you know how things only happen. Like home office doesn't recognize it yet, but it's done. It's a done deal. He hit his senior executive team on the 18th of this month. So he was like, here's the deal, people. Like, we're doing this at the cutoff. You're not making me work all the way till New Year's. Like, this is happening. And I talked to him today, and he was like, I was playing video games today. It was awesome. I was like, you know what? You busted your tail. You deserve some video games today. Like, that is a well-deserved hard rocking. He has almost $400,000 in career sales. Yeah, remember how we said he only started in, yeah. That's a lot more than me. We'll just, and he was a Founders Award recipient at conference in 3 different categories. He earned Hawaii Level 2 Elite at the beginning of May and has over 240 consultants in his organization. So he is a stud, and we are super excited to hear from him today.
Hi guys. So I'm totally a space cadet, and I thought this was my slot versus the earlier one. So I'm so sorry. I was like, she's like, "Are you joining us?" And I'm like, "What?" So okay. And so Trina and I have very similar personalities, so this is super fun. So tonight, guys, I'm just going to first of all, thank you for having me. I'm going to power through because I have about 20 minutes, and then any questions you guys have about really anything you can ask. I'm going to power through some behaviors that I strongly feel have contributed to, for the most part, our director team being paid at their level each month. And guys, many of them are often paid at their level. They're done by the 15th of the month. So you struggle to get there by the end of the month, and the last couple days of the month. Hopefully some of the things I'm going to share with you will be able to help you kind of right that ship and work to be finished earlier, right? Because that's no fun, the stress of working to the last minute, right? Although now, since this promotion is done, I don't really know what to do with myself because I don't have any parties till next week. So anyway, and guys, being paid at your title, director, advanced director, whatever you are or above, that should be your goal every month, okay? Now, does Pepperchef give you a grace period in which you don't have to hit your requirements to keep your title? Yes, they do. Do leaders like you and I and Trina work to minimums? No, we don't. And here's what happens, guys. When we set the precedent of working to minimums, what do our team members do? And I'm going to talk about this, they are looking to us, to you, right, to set the tone from the top, although we look at them as cumulatively as a team, and we aren't at the top necessarily, right? But they look at us that way. I mean, that's just the name of the game, right? So it's our job to really make it clear that, number one, your goal for the organization or team is to be paid at your level every month, and to include them in that idea of something greater than themselves. Yes, you are getting the paycheck ultimately, but when they're submitting shows and working with you towards that goal, they are making the money they joined Pamper Chef to make. I think sometimes consultants can get lost and not understand how that really works and think that, oh, well, you only, you're maybe supporting me because you want to go green as a director. But it's our job to make it feel like more of a unit as a team versus I'm going to be paid at my level and I need to be paid at my level, right? We know that, but we need to communicate it as a team effort and a team goal versus just us. I'll tell you, with the whole senior executive director promotion, guys, it's tricky, right? Because ultimately, who's benefiting from that at the top? That would be me, right? But I needed to make sure that all of my team members, directors and team members, felt like they wanted to and were on board with our hashtag was Let's Slay It, that they were on board with the whole idea of working. Because here's the thing, if you don't have the buy-in from your team members, we're going to be really hard to achieve your goal each month, right? And that said, it's going to be very clear when you try to include people on the train to do this every month, whatever level you're at, the people that maybe don't want to be a part of it. And here's the thing, do people sign up on our team and do we want them to excel and be successful? We sure do, right? But the matter of fact is that some people don't always, they find out that maybe it's not for them, and your job is to focus on your performers, the people that are hungry for, like you, that want to be successful, that want to make money doing this, and your very new people. Do you want to check in with the other people that maybe aren't every 2 months, right? But you really want to focus your time and energy on your performers because they want to be there with you along for the ride, and your very new team members because those are the people that are most excited. Okay? So, sorry, let's skip part of that. And here's the thing, guys. Just like, okay, I like to attribute this whole thing to like a school project, okay? When I was in school, right, you would get stuck in a group project with a bunch of people that you did not know how they would perform. You know your own level of work ethic, right? And hopefully, and we're going to talk about this, hopefully it's where you know, it needs to be, right, as a director, because there are certain things you should be doing, right, with your own personal business. But I look at it like a group project, right? We can only control our work and what we know the quality of our work to be. We can't necessarily depend on these other people, right? So while we want to obviously empower them and encourage them and help them reach their goals to help us reach our goals if they decide that's what they want to do, right? We need to focus always, always, always to be a powerful director on our own personal business and how we operate as a consultant. We are the only variable that we can control in this Pampered Chef team dynamic. Really, right? Who would agree? Raise your hand. Yeah. So for example, like I know the things I need to do every month based on my history of my, you know, of my results to have, you know, $15,000 in sales or recruit 5 people. I know the number of contacts I need to make, right? And I do the things that I need to do to get to where I want to be. And you guys do too. But it's really important to set goals for yourself and or if you have an organization, your organization and your personal team. And guys, this is a great time to do it, because we're coming in the new year, right? And it's a whole other time to get excited and re-energize not only your performers and your very new people, but also the people that maybe are on the sidelines, who've been quiet for a while, that might want to jump on board and be a part of something new moving forward in this new year, right? So, like I said before, you want to lead by example. When you do, you inspire others to follow. And guys, we can't expect our team to do anything that we don't do ourselves. That's literally the definition of insanity. Okay? I'm going to ask XYZ folks to work when I'm not working, when I'm only hitting my 750 that I need to be director qualified. That we are going to be paid at our level every single month. We're not going to go for 2 months like Pampered Chef allows us and just kind of hang on and figure things out and then come through in that last month, right? Really, guys, if it's online party consultant, okay, you really should be booking 16 online parties a month. Especially with Facebook and all the changes and how we can't control those things, right? We are at the mercy of Facebook because we need Facebook to be able to do our business, right? I'm completely virtual and my entire organization pretty much is, but we have to make sure we account for the attrition of the parties that for whatever reason don't do well. And I'm telling you right now, if you are an all virtual consultant, so back in the day, it used the whole idea home office would suggest was 8 parties. Like when you're working with a person to promote to director, make sure you have 8 parties on your calendar, maybe 8 cooking shows if you're an all cooking consultant. But if you are a virtual party consultant, if you don't have 16 parties on your calendar every month, that's your first goal to work towards. Because here's the thing, 4 or 5 or 6 of them are not going to qualify. People think that I'm a magical unicorn and I don't have shows that qualify, that don't qualify, and I recruit every single person that I breathe on, and that's not true. Okay, but I know myself, Steve, that if I want to have the ROI that I want every month, which my goal for the month is $14,000 in personal sales and 5 new team members every month. And again, these are my goals, right? So you're going to look at what it is you want to achieve and maybe the history of what you do each month, right? Or what you want to do and you're not doing. And I say, okay, how many parties do I need to have to say I want to grow my personal team and I want to promote more directors? Well, I need to have a bigger pool of people to do that from, right? So that means I need to book more parties. So in November, typically I do about 30 online parties. And I was like, well, I'm not having as many recruits as I'd like, and so I'm going to go for 40 parties, which I know probably sounds like bananas, okay, but that's just how I roll. So I'm telling you, the month before I recruited 4 people. November, went to 40 parties. I recruited 8 people in 1 month. It's exactly what I wanted to do, right? I said, okay, I'm doing this many parties. I'm having this many people welcome personally by me. I got to blow it up a little bit to get better results. Okay, so again, 8 virtual parties. If you're doing a mix of virtual and cooking shows, 8 virtual parties, 4 cooking shows. Okay, you really have to have those numbers in mind, because and you want to recruit at least two people personally a month. For me, I shoot for 5 for myself, because like with anything, when I welcome a new consultant, I say, in a perfect world, how much money would you want to make a month doing this? And I tell them to shoot for the moon, because if they shoot for the moon, they're going to likely hit the stars, a cloud, a tree, a dirt. So if you go bigger, right, you may not hit those goals, but I'm telling you, you will be so much closer to getting where you want to be if you go for those bigger, kind of scary goals. Okay, I'll tell you right now, when we went for executive, we were going to go for executive team in April, May, June, and we didn't make it in April. But you know what? We were much, much better off and ready to go for May, June, July. Okay? And the minimum, guys, that you should shoot for your personal sales every month as a director, as a leader with this company, is $2,500. Now, if you're not doing that right now, that's okay. But $2,500, again, because, so here's the thing, right? Why is that important? Because the first 5 people you welcome to your team, they're going to hang around for a little bit, maybe. I only had 2 people hang on when I promoted. One sold like $3,000 for a couple months, and another sold, I don't know, a couple hundred. But I, as the leader of the team, said to myself, I am going to carry this team with my personal sales if I have to, and I'm going to set myself up to do that by booking the parties I need to book, because I can only count on me. Okay, so at that point when I promoted, I was still doing $6,000 a month myself. So it didn't really, I mean, yes, recruiting really does fix everything. We'll talk about that in a second. But you really want to make sure that you are, to be a strong, powerful director, that you are really aiming for that $2,500 a month. And again, guys, because what that does is, and oftentimes, I do the things I do, I'm very data driven. And that's another thing you should be as well, to be a powerful director. Our job as leaders is to work smarter and not harder. So I'm constantly looking at my numbers from previous months, or I might take a quarter or something, and I'll say, okay, and I'll examine, how many shows did I book? How many did I hold? Et cetera, right? So I can compare, so maybe I started doing something new with my parties to book shows, and over a 4-month period, I booked X number, more shows by doing this other thing. Is that really worth my time? No, maybe it's not, and then I'm going to toss it and come up with some other idea. Okay? So being data-driven is very important, because to be a powerful leader, because what's going to happen is, you are going to be more informed on your area. Well, number one, you'll be able to work smarter, not harder, right? Which will allow you the extra time to focus on the areas that you are weak in. Sometimes it's hard to audit ourselves and look and see what we might be doing wrong. But I'm telling you, my business and my organization's growth has all come from me looking at myself and what I'm doing and saying, what is working, what isn't working, what is not duplicatable, right? Because if I don't seem like a real person, and if I seem like a magical unicorn, then my team is going to be like, well, I could never sell as much as Steve. And I'm not even going to push myself, because I'll never get there. I could never recruit as many people as Steve does, because he has this, this crazy, loud, aggressive personality, and that's not me, so I can't do that. And the duplicatable piece of it, where that stems from in order to, again, be a powerful director, is having systems in place that allow you to work smarter, not harder. You should have a system for every part of your business: booking, recruiting, customer care. If you're doing a director bound program, you should have something that's organized and thoughtful and planned out for each of those days, days of the 6 weeks or however long you do it for. Sorry, I live in the city and there's sirens. So I'll give you an example of when we started in January of this year. So guys, we went from one director in January of 2018 to 18. We have 18 now in, I guess, in a year. So yeah, 18 in a year. I know math. So let me give you just a snapshot in these last 4 minutes of how I changed my mindset in terms of recruiting specifically to take control of my business and the recruiting piece of it and make me a powerful director and our organization powerful in the realm of recruiting. And guys, whether you have like 6 consultants or 20 consultants on your team, it's the same jam. It's just on a smaller scale, okay? So I was in the business for about 1.5 years and we were having great success selling as an organization, right? So maybe you're the recruiter on your team. Maybe you're the primary person that recruits and none of your team members recruit, maybe they sell, right? This was the position that I was in. I was becoming frustrated because I was the only one sharing the opportunity. And I thought to myself, why aren't more team members sharing this opportunity? We're all benefiting from it in so many ways. And it's the best thing we have in the catalog. And then it hit me, okay? I knew why I was sharing the opportunity and why it was important, because it had been instilled in me by Stacy Etzel, my national, that it's what you do. You sell and you recruit, okay? But I wasn't putting that out there to my team. I wasn't showing off the power of recruiting to them in team trainings, recognizing and rewarding them for it, or even via our team name. I immediately posted, and guys, with the new year, this is perfect to do this with whatever aspect of your business you want, whatever you want to blow up in 2019, which really should be everything. I immediately posted on our team page that we, as a team, like anything else in life, should be evolving and should be moving towards focusing on selling and recruiting versus just selling. So how did that impact the team, right? Completely changed, flipped the script for us. So my team members now saw recruiting as important as selling, and therefore they became intentional about it. They were excited to be contributing to another goal that we can work together to achieve. People are hungry for being a part of something bigger, whether that is you're a director going for advance, whether that is you being happy with hitting your director paid at title level every month. Okay? So what I changed because of kind of these aha moments, I changed our team name from Stephen Joseph's All the Sales Superstars to Stephen Joseph's Selling and Recruiting Rockstars. So what that meant is whenever they went to the team page, they saw selling and recruiting. Whenever they posted on the team page to go to it, they saw selling and recruiting. Whenever somebody else posted and they got a notification, they saw so-and-so posted in Stephen Joseph selling and recruiting. They were one in the same, equal parts, okay? I began to add an element of training about recruiting to almost every monthly team Zoom meeting. So informing and inviting, the opportunity chat, how to respond to people with interest. And I dusted off, and I actually put out in front of them the recruiting goal that I hadn't put in front of them that I made and committed to doing it myself, but didn't share it with anybody. It seems like a no-brainer. And I look at it now and I'm like, what? But I didn't share it with the team, right? I had previously, prior to that January, we had, every month I said, okay, here's our sales goal target, but I never, ever said anything about recruiting. And how can they be a part of it and participate if they don't know about it? Okay. And then what were the results? So after this, things changed immediately. So in January of 2017, we had 0 recruits from people other than me. In January of 18, we had 17 recruits that were not mine. Okay. February 2017, we did have 2 that were not mine. And February of 2018, we had 15. March 2017, we had 7 that were not me. So it was starting to happen, but not as fast as I wanted it to. And then in March of 2018, we had 20. Okay? So does that make sense, guys? That's just an example, but that's how you are essentially, you're really embodying the role of a leader. You're taking control of the power you have as a leader and putting the vision of whatever it is you want to achieve, whether it's hitting title every month or it's going for a career plan advancement, advanced director, senior, whatever, and really taking control of that, coming up with a plan, but most importantly, realize the things that you aren't doing, that you need to be doing to get you where you want to go. Hopefully that's helpful. I can talk all day, but now you have, I think, 10 minutes to ask me a question.
Ready? Pick his brain. What do you want to know? I gotta pretend to be shy. Oh.
Okay, so I have a question.
Sure.
So when you went through and you set your goals, and did you, because I've heard it both ways. I've heard that you should work with your team members to come up with goals that you're going to set with them for recruiting and for sales, and then you set it that way. Or did you just come up and say, you know what, this is what I want to hit, and this is what our team's going to work towards?
So I think it depends on how big your organization is. So like at this point, I have 18 directors. So like for every month, so for like I set a monthly recruiting goal and selling goal each month for our organization. And so we have a message thread, and I will say, hey guys, here's what I'm thinking for November. Please give me a thumbs up if you are committed to working towards making this happen. Okay. But for something like, if it's a consultant, like for example, when I first started and I had one director, I said, okay, I know what I do every month and I know what I'm committed to doing, right? And so I'm knowing that I want to move in the direction of growing and welcoming more people and hoping that they want a piece of the pie and to do what I do as well, then you pad it a little bit with what you hope other people will contribute as you welcome them to the team, whether that's they welcoming people or their sales or whatever. And then you want to bump it up a little bit just to stretch yourself. Because I had a very big problem when I started with once I started putting my goals out there and hitting them, I was like, well, I know I can do that. And I like to see my name that's hit my goals. But Stacey Itzel was like, I'd rather you actually push yourself and not hit them. And I was like, how about I not do that? But it's actually really important to do that, because I will tell you, last month I said to myself, I want to hit $20,000 in sales personally. I could have done it, but I did decide to hold some over for this month, because this month is tricky with December. But I still ended up at $18,000 as my best month ever. If I hadn't decided I was going to go over $20,000, I would never have gotten to $18,000, because I would not have booked the parties, the 40 parties to get there.
Okay, so here's a follow-up then. Did you just do that with your directors? Because if you have 18 on yours, I have 2. And so when you go through and you do that, do you just work with your directors and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and you work with your directors and then you work with them that way? Or should I set it up organization-wide where I do a team meeting that includes my directors and then we all work together towards something?
So because you have 2 right now, I would make those 2 feel very empowered and special and ask them what their specific goals are for 2019. And then you as the leader want to push them, even if you think that that's a lot for them, or maybe that's not what their numbers track or show from the previous year. Who cares? You want to say, you know what, Becky, I think you can do more. I believe that you can do more. And I'm willing to help you if you want to work with me to make that happen. Now, with organization-wide, I have come up with the organization-wide sales, and I've come up with all the numbers, and I'm still going to have those conversations with the directors on our coaching call, which is the first week of January for most of them. And then I will adjust the goal if it needs to grow. If it ends up being less than what I'm still putting out there, I'm still putting out what I want. Does that make sense?
I see. It says, Mary Wiseman said, can you give some pointers to get our teams motivated and how to create a fun team culture? So like when you're working with your personal team, Steve, what are some things that you do to maybe get them? I mean, we know you're a strong seller, so you don't necessarily need them to be active, but you're getting them to develop into new leaders. So what type of things do you do to get your like personal team culture excited and motivated for sales?
Yeah, so this is something that we did with this month because it was an important month for us. But you could do this anyway with any kind of incentives you want based on what money you have. I mean, this will sound like a lot to you, but any kind of thing you throw at them will usually incentivize them. But I did a Dare to Go Green before 15 competition for all team leaders, senior teams. I did, so if they went green on the first, they got 15 tickets to the prizes I gave away. If they went green on the second, they got 14 tickets. Green on the third, they got 13 tickets. Green on the fourth, 12 tickets, blah, blah, blah. So then what I did is I did a post every day, the next day in the morning that said, oh my gosh, you guys totally rocked it. XYZ people are green by the 13th or whatever, the second, you get 13 tickets. And I mean, the prize I gave away was awesome. It was 12 $25 gift card. But you can do, but I'm going for a big promotion. So you can scale it however you want, but sometimes you just have to spice it up and change it up. So it's something that's not like boring. So this was cool because like the different directors like worked with their teams during the month to be like, okay, who's going to go green today? You know, we want to, and they did their own incentives. Like if we have the most consultants that have gone green by 15, I'll enter you to win a prize as well. And it can be whatever you want. It doesn't have to be, you know, like I gave away money, but you could do products in your closet that you have from your director boxes, whatever you want.
Yeah. I think that's super fun. And I think something I noticed, like guys, like that last book, the Blitzes for bookings or whatever that we did, that was our most successful, most energized thing. And I didn't offer or give away a red cent. And all it did is it proved to me that it's not necessarily about the carrot that's in front of it, but how it's portrayed and how it's ran and what's going, you know, just that fun, like just that, ooh, this is what this is. So I'm not saying that it's not good to, you know, have some of those carrots that, you know, Steve's talking to, but yeah, just having some of those fun things, whatever, I love that.
Yeah, we did quarterly, we do this, but we did because we have so many new people, but you can do this however many times you want. We do a go for the no challenge quarterly, and basically you guys have probably seen this, but it's that like it's the old Pampered Chef logo, but it's like a checkboard that has 100 spots, and basically, and you probably do this, but whatever, I do this and they love it. But it's basically like, it's not only does it get them excited to work and book, but it also shows them how many people they actually. And this is great, like if you have new people, especially because this is their first exposure, they're getting their first bookings, and they actually see, wow, I need to ask 10 to 12 people to get a show booked. So then after they ask 10 people and they come to me whining why they don't have any parties, I'm like, did you actually ask 100 people? Because if you didn't, then that's why I don't have any shows. and when they book this, and then when they book a show, I would have them like screenshot on our team page with like whatever hashtag I come up with, and then for the go for the no, I tally them all up based on the hashtag at the end of a week period or whatever, and then whatever team has the most people that got the most no's, I will give like a $50 gift card to the director to go ahead and raffle off to their team. So you can do, I mean, I'm single, I have no kids, I have no family, so I have the money to give away, but you can customize it to do whatever you, I'm real single, y'all. So you can customize it to do it however you want.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate your time. I know that, especially around the holidays and stuff, and congratulations again on your promotion. We're so excited for you. So it was fun to be able to, I told him, I go, as soon as he does it, I'm going to send him the little elf or whatever that says, congratulations, you did it. Message it. I'm like, here it is.
Yeah.
Are you official, Steve?
It was official on the 18th.
He's officially unofficial, yeah?
It's unofficial until the 1st, but it's official.
We all know it's
Yes,
done.
well,
We're all celebrating. It's just
Yay, congratulations.
Thanks. I was telling them I felt very bored I've been playing a lot of video games, but I felt very bored the past couple weeks and change because I feel like I'm not, normally I'm like go, and now I'm kind of like.
I could have thought of some things for you to do.
Well, and that is why
I think I actually do. I
We
do
were
owe you
all
something,
up to it
actually,
before.
Kathy. I do owe you. I just remember you emailed me, so I will get to that. All right, guys. Well, thanks for having me. I hope you got something out of this. And, if you have any other questions, just send them to Trina, and I'm happy to respond.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve. Appreciate your time. Happy New Year.
You too.
All right. Okay, and Cathy Cocozzella is here right on time to talk with us. So guys, okay, first of all, big kudos. Cathy coming and being willing to give this time, not only during a holiday, but during an evening, all sorts of things to come and talk to our team is pretty amazing. So Cathy, I'm just so grateful to you to be willing to take this time out to help us go through. So I know those that are going to be listening to the recording and stuff like that weren't able to make it with the holidays are excited that you are here as well. So she is our field development manager. The home office has kind of restructured kind of how things go, and she's kind of like my mama right now. So Cathy takes care of us and is helping me get my act together for you guys. So she so graciously offered this specific training, and I was like, you know what, I think that this is going to be fantastic. So make sure there's ink in your pen, and Cathy, I will pass it on to you.
Okay, so my first question is, how are you guys? You've been going at it for what, an hour today or 2 hours?
We started at 6, so just one.
Oh, 6.
Yep.
Okay, did you do this last night too?
We did it last week, so this is part 2, week and week. So before Christmas and after, it's our little Christmas sandwich.
Oh, the last week. I got you. Good. Well, good. Well, I'm excited to talk to you guys tonight. And Stephanie says her hand needs a break. Did you guys get a lot of good notes? You're probably writing fast and furious. And you're going to be doing that again. So, but I am going to have a little handout I can send you guys afterwards, which will be of help to you, I believe. So anyway, so I just want to really quick chat with you guys for a second. So if you will unmute, I just want you guys to share with me. I know I met some of you through LEAD. I know I met some of you when I was at Yvonne's celebration, and Trina, you brought some people along. So if you guys will just tell me when I call on you how long you've been with Pampered Chef and what your focus is for the year, that would be fantastic. Have you guys already talked about goals for the year?
Not specifically, nope. That's what.
Okay, now is the time. So I saw Shelly look up. That means Shelly's figuring it out, huh, Shelly? Cool. I should think about that. Okay, really quick, because I know we have a lot to cover. So Stephanie, I always say your name wrong. Is it Kufal?
It's Kufal.
Okay, very good. So how long with Pampered Chef?
4 years.
Okay. And what is your focus, your goal for 2019? Disney. That's a great goal. All right. Okay. And Melinda Combs. And you're all directors or above?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Melinda, how long have you been with Pampered Chef?
Since May of this year.
Wow. You're the newbie, huh?
I am.
All right. And what's your goal for 2019?
I want to get some more recruits and earn Disney.
Okay. So how many more is more recruits?
At least one a month.
Okay. That's a good goal. Now it's measurable. You always have to make sure your goals are measurable. You know, I'm the field development manager. I have to say those things or I'll lose my job. Okay, one a month. That's a great goal. That one's measurable. All right. And Mary Weisman. Hi, Mary. I can't hear Mary.
That's what I did myself.
Okay.
I joined in September of 2016. My goal this year are senior director and level 2 Disney.
Okay, great. All right, so you got a title goal. I love hearing that too. All right, and Shelly Wolf, I gave you time to think since you went like this.
Thanks. Well, I have more than one, so I was trying to decide if I should give you one or not. I started in February of 2017.
Okay.
And of course, I want to make level 2 Disney. I also want to be a senior director. And my goal is to bring home $7,000.
Okay, so a financial goal. Great. Thank you. And Stephanie Williams. Stephanie, you're in the dark. I can hardly see you.
Sorry, I have an old laptop.
That's okay. I have a new one and I'm in the dark. I had to get this little light thing. So I don't know what's up with my laptop. It's kind of dark here. All right, Stephanie. So how long have you been Pampered Chef?
14 months. So just over a year.
Okay, great.
My goal or my focus for 2019 is, one, I want to earn Disney, and that kind of coincides with growing my personal business.
Okay. And when you say grow your personal business, how would you measure that?
I would like to recruit one person a month and hit 3,000 in personal sales every month.
Okay, great. Very good. All right, Trina, you didn't think I was going to ask you, did you? Yeah, you
know. The last and scribble everybody else's stuff down. So my goal in 2019 is Disney Elite. And then Senior Executive Director are the two.
All right. And when is that going to happen? What are you going to be in 3 months?
For conference. So that's April, May, June.
So
because with
April.
That's April, May, and June.
April, May, June. Gotcha. Okay, groovy. All right. Well, we are going to talk about coaching new consultants. So as we go through this, you guys may have a lot of questions, and I want you to jot those down. We can certainly have you guys ask questions as we go, because the content isn't so heavy that we don't have time for questions. Chances are one of the questions you might be asking might be something that I'm about to cover, so I'll let you know if that's the case. But I am going to share my screen here with you and make sure you guys can see what we got here. All right, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so this is called Coach to Grow, G-R-O-W, because grow obviously is going to be the method of coaching that we're going to use. Is there anybody here that is familiar with this method? Just wave at me if you are. And I have to go back and forth here through the gallery to see you guys. So anyway, this is a really simple method that we are going to use, and I'm going to tell you what each letter stands for. We're going to draw kind of a little picture in a circle. Don't worry if it's perfect or not, but I always tell people if you if you ink it and you think it, then it's the best way to learn. So if you write things down, that will help. Again, don't worry if you get it exactly right, because I'm going to send you a little handout with kind of an illustration. So just for those of you that haven't met me, I am a U.S. Field Development Manager. I've been with the Pampered Chef for about 9.5 years. I can't even believe it. And but I've been in the industry. Gosh, I was in my own direct selling business for 19 years. And I built a large organization, and then I was with the Body Shop at Home as a sales manager for 4 years before coming to Pampered Chef. So I tell you this so that you will know that I've walked the walk, and I know the good, the bad, and the ugly that happens in this business. The good is like, well, in 19 years, I was able to go on 19 all-expense-paid trips, went to over 11 different countries. So I'm super excited to hear that you guys want to travel, because I am a huge fan of travel, and there is no reason why you cannot all go to Disney. So I'm super excited to hear that. And then, you have some of the things that happen that are disappointing. Customers say no, hosts say no. You have consultants that join that don't do anything. They don't call you back. They go into the witness protection program. You never hear from them again. I've been there. And actually, one of my worst moments was when I went to a show, and even the host didn't show up. So, so apparently she canceled, and I didn't get the memo. But anyway, I just wanted to start by recognizing all of you guys for being here, because there are some people that on this call or Zoom chat, and they didn't take the time to be here, but you did. So it shows me that your business is a priority. And I really think that training and educating yourself really does raise your level of influence with your team, and really your ability to reach and exceed your own goals. So give yourselves a pat on the back for being here. Okay, nobody did it. Arm up. I'm waiting. Arm up. Bend your elbow. Pat your back. All right, very good. I know you thought I was joking. I'm not. I'm serious. All right, so we're going to start off with talking about who are you going to coach and why are you going to coach. So the very first most important group of people that you want to coach are obviously brand new consultants. Coaching new consultants from the start is the most critical point to start coaching, because a successful consultant makes a successful senior consultant, team leader. You also want to look at your existing team and think, find out who wants more. And we're going to talk about how to figure that out, but find out who wants more on your team. And then, of course, anybody that you know that wants to be Trina, or maybe she can't hear me. Yes, no?
I think I'm back. Yep, it like blipped for a second.
Okay. Are you guys hearing me okay?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay.
Has anybody, guys, like Shelly, like, is it blipping on your end, or Belinda, is it blipping on your end at all? Okay, I think it's just blipping a little bit on mine with some of the other speakers and stuff like that too, but you're back.
Okay, all right. So do you guys have a director-bound program, Trina, starting next year?
We are kind of in the middle. We're finishing one up right now. We called it Promote on Purpose, that we're in. Okay. That one goes through January, and then we'll regroup after. We did it a little bit differently, and we'll kind of take some feedback.
Okay, good. No, that's good. So you guys know what I'm talking about with those programs, though. So, so the point is, looking for people that want more. Those are really the main three groups of people that you will be coaching. And I have to tell you the why. Whenever you, talk to people that are successful, whenever you talk to professional people, the one thing they say, the one key, whether they are employed at a business, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they are, in direct selling. It's been a long day, let me tell you. I'm supposed to be on vacation, but I have been working all day. But anyway, whether they've been in direct sales, the number one thing people say that has made the difference in their, their success in their profession is personal coaching. I can't tell you how many people I talk to now that are getting professional coaching or life coaches. So coaching is really a critical piece, not only for you to get, which I'm sure you guys do with Trina, or, with peers, or however you guys do your coaching, but also for you guys to be coaching other people. And I want to kind of define what coaching is, because sometimes people say, oh, I chat with my consultant here and there over Messenger, but coaching is a specific planned conversation where you're going to be talking to them about their business goals and about their business success. All right. It's at a scheduled time to help people, reach those business goals. So it's a specific time that you have set with them. And you don't have to set it up like, for 6 weeks in a row. You can set up from one call to the next, but it is a scheduled appointment. All right. Now, I understand sometimes coaching is done via Messenger, but ideally a call or a virtual chat is really the way to go. FaceTime or Zoom or, whatever it is that you guys want to do so that you can see each other's faces. 50% of communication is body language, and that's why I recommend that you guys can actually see each other when you're doing your coaching. All right. So, and coaching is also different from training. A lot of people look at coaching and training as kind of being the same thing. And I'm curious if anybody knows the difference between coaching and training. Make this a little bit interactive. So, Trina, you'll have to watch and see if somebody raises themselves. Just unmute yourself if you want to share with me what's the difference between training and coaching. Who's going to be bold? I always tell people I cannot wait anybody. Anybody want to take a bold guess?
I will.
Shelley?
I would say that coaching is more of kind of like the encouraging and the goal setting and conversation, where training is more of teaching the how to.
Okay, good. So you got the teaching part Perfect. The training is all about teaching. The coaching is about asking. All right. And Melinda, were you going to say something?
Similar to what Shelley had said, finding out what that person's goals are.
Yeah. Okay, very good. It all starts with the goals. So that's really critical, because once you know the goals, then you know really how to coach them. So I want you guys to understand that the simplest definition of the difference is training is telling and coaching is asking. All right. And it's not just cheering them on, but literally leading them through a process for them to figure out how they're going to reach their goals. It doesn't mean you have to be the answer man, or in this case, the answer woman, since we have all women on this call tonight. But you have to help them dig deep inside and figure out what the answers are. So you're really going to be focused on asking great questions. You're going to ask about their goals, what they want to achieve, what it means to them. And we'll talk more about, what more of these questions are. Sometimes you're even asking questions like, when are you going to find the time to implement this? Grab your calendar, let's open it, let's take a look at it, right? You're going to ask them some tough questions like, what obstacles might get in the way? And then even the tougher question is, how would you overcome that obstacle? All right, so you're really preparing them for success. You're having them think deep into a process so that they can think about, oh yeah, you're right, because I know that in about 15 minutes, the baby's gonna wake up and I'm not gonna get any of this done. So you have to really have them take an honest look at what's happening in their business by asking some of those questions. One of my favorite questions is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to this goal? Right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to this goal? 10 being, I'm like fully committed, right? And 1 being, yeah, not so much. So, I usually joke with people and say, a 10 basically means you're going to reach this goal. And if you don't, you're going to write Cathy Cocozzella a check for $1,000. And then people kind of stop for a minute and look at me, and then they laugh and realize I'm just teasing them. So it's, you got to have fun when you're coaching people too, right? So if they're not a 10, you need to ask maybe a tough question about, well, what will it take for you to get to a 10? All right. So as I'm sharing some of these questions and information with you guys, jot down any questions that you might have as we go through. So I'll give you a whole bunch more questions as we go through, but I thought I'd just throw out some of those things because with new consultants, you will be training and coaching on your calls, but at the same time, you really want to focus on the coaching piece of asking. And you really, really, really need to understand the importance of asking really good questions. To get these answers to come from them is really essential. I really have this belief that people do have it within them to figure out what it takes to be successful, and really your job is just to kind of pull it out of them. And so it's important to really approach coaching with that perspective. And I always like to think about the attitude that you need to have as you approach coaching. And believing in people is really critical. I love this quote from John Maxwell. You guys probably, some of you may know this, that I also have a certification with the John Maxwell team as a coach, speaker, and trainer, and then a couple other certifications. But I'm a huge John Maxwell fan. So as you can see, I have a bazillion books on my in my bookshelf. Most of them are from John Maxwell. But I just love this quote because it says, when you believe in people, you motivate them and you release their potential. People can sense intuitively when a person really believes in them, right? And you know what? Here's the other thing, guys. They can sense intuitively if you don't believe in them. So what I want you to think about is when you're talking about your team, is it uplifting, is it honest, or is it gossipy and talking behind their back? Because if that kind of thing is happening, guess what? They will figure that out. I have some people that will say things to me about their team members, and I say, whoa, is that how you really feel? And they say, oh, well, I would never say that to anyone else. And then I tell them, you know what? It doesn't matter because they already know. So I want you to keep that in mind. Also, I love this one. Anyone can see people as they are. It takes a leader to see what they can become. Encourage them to grow in that direction in that direction and believe that they will do it. All right, so really believing that people have the potential. Now, that doesn't mean that people don't, sometimes people don't follow through. Sometimes people don't do what they say they're going to do. I mean, we're all human. We're all perfectly imperfect, right? So people are going to mess up, but you are going to be that person that is going to encourage them. John Maxwell says if they're breathing, they need encouragement, right? But you're also going to be guiding them through the process through coaching. Okay, so, sorry, a little things jumping up on my screen here. All right, so now let's talk about the Coach to Grow method. And the thing that I think is really important is you really set yourself and your consultant up for success with this coaching appointment. So you want to make sure the consultant is in a place where it's quiet. And you know what I forgot to ask? Trina, did you want to record this? I don't know if this is recording.
I've got it recording already.
It's good. Okay, good. Sorry. I figured you probably did. Anyway, so you want to make sure that they are in a place, where they are quiet, especially with a brand new consultant. I always tell them, okay, so we want to find a place where it can be quiet. If they have little ones, I always say, when it's nap time, let's make sure that we have 30 minutes to really focus in on your goals and helping you achieve, what it is you want out of your business. I always tell them, to stop at the store and get a notebook, or if they have an app, I don't care if they use OneNote. How many of you have heard of OneNote? Anybody? I love OneNote because it actually looks like a notebook, so it helps me to organize it really well. Some people like Evernote, some people just take notes in their app, some people just use a notebook. But the bottom line is you want them to be organized. The one thing you don't want to have happen, and you're going to tell them this, is for them to say, oh my gosh, I don't remember where I wrote the notes from our last call. They should have all the information in one book. All right. And then I always tell them that, they don't want to multitask while we're on the call. It's proven that multitasking is inefficient. Our brains can really only focus on one thing at a time. And so I used to tease my new consultants and say, I won't be doing the dishes and folding laundry if you don't either. And, the truth is I don't really do those things. No, I'm just kidding. I do. But, but anyway, again, it's about building a relationship, make them laugh, and make sure they're engaged. So let's go through the Grow coaching model. So we're going to start here with the goal. So do you see right here, it says start the call. And then we're going to go around the circle this way. All right. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the goal. And so not only are we going to figure out the goal and the focus for each call, but we're going to really make sure we first kind of establish their larger goal. You cannot decide an action plan until you know your goal. So that is why I asked all of you what your goal was at the very beginning of the call. And a couple of you, I kind of called you out a little bit. If you said to improve my business or whatever, I made sure that it was measurable, right? I had you think about a number. And this is what you need to do with your consultants. Make sure if they say, I want to have some good shows, what would success look like to you? All right. So you're going to figure out that large goal. Maybe oh gosh, can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? It just said that my internet was unstable. You never want to hear that, right? Anyway, so with goal, you are going to figure out the larger goal. So do they want new consultant rewards? And you guys, you got to let them know about what's available to them. Every single new consultant should know about Fast Track. They should find out about the $500 bonus, the $2,000 bonus. Don't assume they won't be interested, because it's really you taking away their right to decide if you do that. You really need to offer to them, let them decide. All right. And then you're going to be talking about if they're on track for that goal, kind of where they're at. So that's the first thing, figuring out what the larger. There you are.
Are you back?
I did. I know. See, it said my internet was unstable. I wonder if I should connect to my jetpack, just in case. Hold on a second.
I was like, she was there, and then just like that, she was gone.
Okay, so what's the last thing you guys heard?
You said, oh, crud, and I knew you were going to ask that, and I specifically started writing it. And then I got so surprised.
I heard educate and then something.
So we were talking about establishing a smaller goal for each coaching session. Did you hear that part? Okay. All right. I'm going to turn this on just in case this happens again so that I'll have a backup Wi-Fi. Sorry, guys. This happens sometimes at night. I think everybody comes home from work and gets on their computer and they take all my Wi-Fi power. I live in a big suburb. This shouldn't happen, right? All right, let me get back to the PowerPoint. Hold on a sec. All right, so we're talking about goals. So secondly, you're going to establish a smaller goal for each coaching session. And you know, what you are going to be doing is you're going to be asking questions like, you know, what would you like to discuss in this 30-minute period of time? So you're kind of reminding them, we have 30 minutes. So, you know, if they have something that they're unhappy about and they have to talk about that for 15, then you have to remind them that they now only have 15 minutes, right? So you want to really value your time when you're talking to them. So you want to find out what they want to discuss. You know, what specific challenges maybe they want to focus on for the day. Maybe you're talking about what happened since the last conversation. Actually, I wish this little circle said you grow with the letter U, because the very first thing you should do for anyone, unless it's their very first coaching call, is get an update. All right, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but you always want to get an update on what they did since the last call. So we'll go into that a little bit more, but you know, what kind of things do they want to create an action plan for? So that's under G, where you're talking about the goal. And when they talk about that goal, you're going to get feedback. You're going to kind of clarify the conversation goal. Because I know sometimes someone will say something to me and I'll repeat it back to them and then they'll go, well, I guess that's part of it, but really it's more like this. And I'm really literally just repeating what they said or how I heard it. So it sounds like corny to do that kind of feedback, but it's really actually very important. So I might say something like, you know, what I hear you saying is that you're, you know, you're frustrated with the number of guests, you know, your last few shows, and you want to understand, you know, what's happening, and, you know, you want to figure out some ideas that you could try to solve that. You know, is that right? So I can make sure I'm really clear with what they want this 30 minutes to be about. All right, we good so far? Everybody can hear okay? All right, good. So now let's talk about the, let's see what's happening here. We're not moving. Oh, wait. Okay, that shouldn't happen. Sorry, that was weird. All right, so now we're going to talk about the reality. So R is for reality. What is really happening, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to use your curiosity to really explore what's happening around this. And you're going to be asking a lot of questions on this particular step. Now, the one thing I always tell people is to avoid the D questions. D, like the letter D. All right, like the did you or do you. Now, this is really hard. Some personality types just go like this. Well, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And I'm not going to say who, but might be grinning right now. No, I'm just kidding. Dorina, you're so cute. You just outed yourself.
But yeah, that's natural.
Yeah, because you're a doer. That's why. Doers ask D questions. So what you need to think about is that you are not their mother, you are their mentor. So what you want to do with this is you want to ask them, like, you know, open-ended questions, because the goal of this step on reality is really about exploring and discovering and helping them dig deep to figure it out. So what you can say is things like, let's say they're having troubles booking shows. You know, what are you doing now to book shows? So you're figuring out, what are they already doing? What are they not doing, right? So what are you doing now to work with your host? This person was talking about low attendance. So you're not going to say, well, do you host coach? And that's kind of like, well, duh. I mean, let's hope they do. But you might discover it by asking a different question. Like, tell me how you work with your host. What is your process? What is your system? They might think system. I have no idea what a system is, right? And so you have to be thinking about your own system, for host coaching if you're going to be asking them these questions. All right, can you guys hear me? I'm getting a weird message here again.
I can hear you fine.
Okay. If I lose you this time, I'm going to go to my jetpack. All right. And then when they say, well, I make 3 contacts, then you're going to say, okay, so tell me more about that. Sometimes it's about, exactly what they're doing, what they're saying, just so that you can really help them to figure out what the issue is. And you need to really make sure that you're listening and you're taking notes. When you take notes, it shows that you care. Like just now when you guys are introducing yourself, I'm always taking notes. Since Trina is one of the executives that I support, it's important that I get to know people. So I really do care about knowing what's happening with people. So make sure you're taking notes. So one of the best things that you can do when you're in this phase is to talk about the 3 buckets. Have any of you ever heard me talk about the 3 buckets? All right, so basically what you want to tell the consultant is there are 3 things that impact our success or lack of. All right, there are 3 things that impact our success or lack of success. So it doesn't matter really what we do in life. And you can even tell them this part too. It doesn't matter if you want to be this really great mom or a financial advisor or a Pampered Chef consultant. Maybe you just want to be the best president of the PTA ever. It always comes down to 3 things. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys to unmute and tell me if you think about somebody who is successful, and if you had to think of only 3 things, what would one of those things be? All right. So go ahead and unmute and just shout out, what would one of them be?
Is this like things that they do well or like things that they prioritize, or what are you?
They kind of fall into categories, 3 categories.
Consistency.
Okay, who said that? Consistency. Melinda. Okay, so consistency is really, really close. So basically what that is, that falls into habit. So that's habit. Consistency is all about habit. That is one of the things that either makes people successful or unsuccessful. Good habits make people successful. Lack of good habits makes them not successful. Okay, what could something else be, Shelley?
I would say they plan.
Okay, so they plan. That falls into habit too.
Okay.
So that's really good one. That falls into habit as well. Okay, who else? Mary, we're going to say something?
Well, I was going to say organized, but that would go under habit too, I would assume, right?
Okay, good. So see, you guys start to figure this out. Like it really is easy to start figuring out how these fall into these buckets. Stephanie, how about you? Stephanie Williams, were you going to say one?
I was going to say believing in themselves.
Okay, bingo. Belief is one of the categories. All right, so belief is critical. Their belief, their attitude, their belief in themselves, others, the business, the company. Belief is huge. They could be the best recruiter and the best seller ever, but if they're lacking belief, they're gonna run up against a wall. All right? And what do you think the last one is? Someone just shout out because I can't see y'all at the same time.
Have something to do with execution?
I was going to say
yes,
action, but I feel like that's habit.
Action.
They're both actually really close. So it's about skill, right? They have to know how to do it.
Oh, skill.
All right, skill. Yeah. Oops, sorry, I forgot I was going to do this. So that's it. Skill, habit, and belief. See the 3 little words there? Skill, habit, and belief. And you guys, this makes coaching people so easy. Because when you ask them this question, and you're going to do it just like I did. I had you guys think into it first, right? I didn't just give you the answers. You guys can mute if you need to. I know some people are getting feedback. So go ahead and mute if you need to. But I didn't just throw it all out there. I had you guys think about it, and you guys were engaged, and that's what you want your consultants to do. you're going to ask them about the 3 buckets. And if they kind of miss it, but it fits into one bucket, say, actually, that's not exactly it, but it falls in this bucket. Very good. What else would it be? So you're giving encouragement. You're also making them think. And the more they think, the better that coaching session is going to be. All right. So let's say somebody says to me, well, it's habit. I know habit is the problem. The next thing you're going to say to them is, okay, so tell me more about that. All right, so write that down. Tell me more about that. So what is it? What is the habit? What are they lacking? And they might say follow through, or making my calls consistently, my contacts consistently, or, you know, whatever the case may be for them, right? And so this is a really good way to handle this R part of the GROW model, is to figure out the reality by asking them that question and then getting more information from them. All right, so let's go on to, I told you this was simple, options. All right, so based on what you discover is the concern, then you want to find out how they can change that, right? So what they're going to be doing is coming up with options. Now, I want to repeat that. What they are going to be doing is coming up with options. Don't feel like you have to be the one that has all the answers. All right. Now, yes, you have to have, you know, skills. You have to have success. You have to grow in this business. You have to lead by example, all of those things as directors. But you want them to really discover their own answers. All right. So you could ask some questions like, okay, so what could you do about that? You know, what ideas do you have to kind of help you with that? And you will be amazed. People have good ideas, right? And people don't argue with their own data. If they come up with the idea, they are much more likely to do it. All right. So let's say they come up with a couple of things. Then you want to say, okay, well, what else? Let's just come up with a whole bunch of ideas, just so we have a lot to pick from, right? They're going to think of things that you've never thought of. I remember when one of my consultants said she was having trouble finding people to book parties with. And she's like, oh my gosh, I could ask my friends at the quilting club. I was like, people still have quilting clubs? I never would have thought about that, right? But that was something that she shared. So it's important that they are really engaged and they're really thinking through. Let's see. Now, sometimes there are situations where they do need some ideas. If they're really sure, really help them to think through it. But if they're really new, you may have to help them think of some ideas, right? So what you want to do is say, would you like a couple of suggestions? So you always want to ask permission. And what you want to do is say, can I share what some other new consultants have done that have been successful? What some other new consultants have done that have been successful. Because if you say, let me tell you what I did, you guys are untouchable to them because you're their director, right? Like Trina to you guys is like Doris Christopher, right? I mean, she is like Pampered Chef to all of you. Unless you've been to conference, you've kind of seen that bigger step. But I want you guys to think about that when you talk about other consultants and what they've done to succeed. Then you're speaking more their language. And that's only after you kind of exhaust their ideas. If they come up with 4 or 5, then you don't even need to go there. All right. Because have you ever, talked to consultants and you give them an idea and they say, I tried that. It didn't work. And you give them another idea and they say, I tried that. It didn't work. And you give another idea and they say, I tried that. It didn't work. It's because they're arguing with your data and not with their own. All right. So what you want to do is kind of track these ideas that they have shared. Make sure you're making notes of under options of what they're going to do, so that you can then give them this feedback. Now, let's just talk about the skill, habit, and belief part for a minute. So if somebody in general says skill, like I just don't know how to do it, I'm not good at it, I don't know what to say, I feel like I'm a flub up, I don't say it right, I don't know how to approach people. Okay, you guys have heard it all, right? So what I want you to do is have them think about people that they can role model or observe or interview. Have them think about how can they practice a skill, how can they learn this skill. I mean, you don't have to just say, well, have you been on PCU? Have you done this? Have you done that? Again, you're just wanting them to think about it. How could you learn how to better host coach? And they might say, well, could I listen to you host coach somebody? So you got to ask them the questions because they know how they learn, right? Do they do it by reading, by listening, by doing? How do they learn? Remind them about, certain resources that might be available to them. And in order to remind them about them, you have to be familiar with them, right? Like, how familiar are you with all the incredible stuff on PCU? Do you read through the monthly focus immediately when that comes out at the first of the month? That is a gold mine. Everybody should know about the monthly focus. How about the monthly meeting planner? Like, if there's something you don't know that's happening in Pampered Chef, it's in the monthly meeting planner. So even if you're not talking about all that at your meetings, because there's a lot in there and you probably can't talk about all of it, but if you need to reference something, it's probably within those first 3 slides. How about the online audios and videos? I don't know if you guys have seen the modules the training team created from National Conference. They're actually modules of training. They took bits and pieces of the workshops and turned them into a module where you ask questions and you're engaged. They are phenomenal. Has anybody seen those? They're really incredible.
Yeah,
good for you.
Those in our director bound right now. I've been assigning.
Okay, very good, good. All right, so YouTube videos, handouts you might have, 3-way calling, even with host coaching. I used to train people on host coaching by calling my host and having them listen in. Maybe you're sending them messages, but it's important to try to talk to your host at least once. It's kind of like if you miss that first host coaching call, it's kind of like missing that first call to coach your new consultant. So think about what you need to recommend if they say it's skill and what direction you want to lead them down. Like, you might be thinking, okay, well, what training have they taken? But you're not going to say, what training have you taken? You're going to say, tell me about the training that you've been involved in. Tell me how you can learn to be better, right? Not the do you, did you, right? And if it's habit, I want you to look for ways to help them put systems and processes in place. Simple processes, like, for host coaching, are they just using the host coaching checklist that Pampered Chef provides? There's a little coaching chart that they can use for each show. So make sure you're familiar with those so you can talk to them about those things. If they are wanting to work towards consistency, are they tracking their calls? If somebody is trying to reach a goal and, they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to reach it, letting them know there's 3 days left in the month. How many contacts could you make? And really being specific. If it's belief, you have to really look for ways to challenge them to kind of create new ways of understanding things, new ways of thinking about things. And it's really important to first find out where they're lacking the belief. Are they lacking belief in themselves, in other people, in the company? Maybe our products, our host opportunity or business opportunity. That's actually always our highest rated, so it's usually not that one. But also the industry. Sometimes people are like, I got this degree in accounting and my mom's still mad at me that I'm selling Pampered Chef and I'm not an accountant and, that kind of stuff. By the way, I was actually just pulling this out today. I don't know if you guys have seen this book. It's an older one. But it's called Start Late, Finish Rich by David Bach. And I believe it's chapter 17. Let's see, I'll put it up again, see if you guys can kind of see it. Chapter 17, one of the things he even talks about in his book is if you want to get ahead in life, start a direct sales business. And what's really cool about it is that he actually tells the Pampered Chef story. He talks about Pampered Chef as a recommended business. So sometimes if people are just like, I don't know, I went to school, all these years, and now I'm selling Pampered Chef, and I just feel like I'm, not doing, what I went to school for. I mean, help them to understand what we do is so important and so valuable. I mean, I tell people, you walk into your party, and you stand up straight, put your shoulders back, and be super proud to do what you do. Because when I was in the field, I thought I had the best job in the world. I knew what I did made a difference. I still feel like I have the best job in the world. But, as an independent consultant, people have to have that belief. And so if something's getting in the way, you have to ask them the question, what are you going to do to increase your belief? You don't have to just give them the answers. You know, they might come up with affirmations, reading a good book. Maybe it's a good sermon on Sunday. I don't know what it is for them, but they have to come up with those answers, right? You know, I know some people have talked about, you know, before you make a follow-up call, you can just write down the 5 reasons why you joined Pampered Chef, just to help them increase their belief. Maybe, you know, it's listening to a webinar, but helping them to figure out what they can do. Always, you should have a list of books that they could be reading, whether it's John Maxwell. One of my favorites is Developing the Leader Within You, or 15 Laws of Growth. There's books by John Gordon, like The Energy Bus, Rory Vaden, Take the Stairs, Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning. I mean, I could give you a whole list. So you've got to help people with their belief, all right? So asking them maybe, what could you read or listen to in order to strengthen your belief? So again, they're coming up with the options, whether it is skill, habit, or belief. All right, any questions so far? All right, looks like you're all still muted. Okay, so, and one of the quotes that one of my mentors always told me was, never do for others what they can do for themselves. And that's always hard for me because I am a helper. I like to help people. But what I discovered was when I asked them questions and they figured it out, there was a lot more buy-in. So what if this happens? What if you're asking them for options and they're saying, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I could do. I just don't know. So you guys don't let them off the hook so quickly. What you want to do is you want to say, okay, well, if you did know, what would you do? In other words, they're going to get it, that like you're not letting them off the hook. Or I would say, okay, let's just put our heads together and brainstorm, which is really saying, let's just put our heads together and I'm going to listen to what you have to say, right? You know, let's just think about it for a minute. And then you're quiet. That's the key, guys. You have to be quiet. You put your hand over your mouth if you need to. Use duct tape if necessary. It's so hard because we want to help people, right? But I think it's really important not to, because if you start rattling off ideas, some of these people might say, I tried that, didn't work, tried that, didn't work, tried that, didn't work, right? So you've got to get them to own it. And if they own it, they can't argue with their own ideas. They're much more likely to engage. All right, so don't let them off the hook. So let's get to the W, which is, what will you do? So what action are they going to take? So under options, you might have 4 or 5 or 6 things. You really want them to focus on 1 or 2, right? And especially the newer they are, the more important that is. If people have one singular focused goal, they have a probability rate of 80% of reaching that goal. The minute they add a second goal, it goes down to 64%. So you really want to get them focused on just 1 or 2 things, right? And so you're going to make an action plan. So you're going to say, okay, so out of these options, which one looks like, would really be, bring you the greatest results? And they're going to say, I need to get on the phone. I need to call some people. I've been green dotting everybody and I haven't gotten on the phone at all. Or maybe it's been the opposite. I've been on the phone and I haven't green dotted or texted or messaged anybody. Text is the fastest form of communication in today's day and age, right? People respond more quickly on text than they do on messaging, phone, anything else. So you got to figure out, what will they do? When will they do it? What will they do? When will they do it? And how can you support them? That's an important question to ask them. How can I support you? They might just say, if you could just ask me about this goal in 2 days, they may have a whole different idea. All right. So let's say they're choosing to work on habit because they're not making enough, contacts consistently. Chances are this person needs you to get down to the details to really figure out how to implement this to make it happen. So it might sound like this. All right, we've got 3 days left this week. So how many contacts would you like to make? Now let's say they say 5. All right. And then I say, okay, so how many people do you think you have to call or message to reach 5 people. Because we know nobody answers their phone, right? Some people don't even return texts or messages, right? So how many do you have to reach out to? Well, probably 10. I'd say, okay, yeah. So I'd say about half respond. That's probably true. Then how many people do you think you need to ask to get 1 booking? Now, usually they say 5 or 6 if they know the stats. Usually 5 or 6 people you need to talk to get a booking unless you're new, because everybody wants to help you out, right? And then so you're going to recap that form and say, so really what you're saying is you want to book 1 show in the next 72 hours. And they're like, well, no, I want more than that. And then say, okay, so what do we need to change? I mean, the bottom line is they have to change the number of contacts, right? And so what is important for this person that has a challenge with habit is to say, okay, so let's open up your calendar and figure out when you're going to do this. All right, do you guys do power hours? You know what power hours are all about? Like you text for 15 minutes, you email for 15 minutes, you call for 15 minutes, you green dot for 15 minutes, whatever it is you want to do as far as your form of communication. But you mix it up, right? And so I would say, okay, so when you do a power hour, 4 15-minute blocks of connecting with people, how many people do you think you can reach out to? And you have to, factor in the rates that people don't answer their phones, and sometimes they don't answer texts. All right. And so then you have to say, so do you want some accountability with that? And if this is an aspiring leader, you don't even have to ask that. They already know you're going to hold them accountable, right? But new consultants, you have to have a little bit more grace with, because they're new and they're figuring this all out. So I usually say with new consultants, well, great, I look forward to celebrating your success. Would you be willing to share your results with me? Now, they always say yes, because they're excited, right? And then I'd say, okay, great. So in 72 hours, I'd say, all right, today is, let's pretend it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So by Thursday at, let's see, I live in Colorado, so it's almost 7 o'clock here. So by Thursday at 7 o'clock, do you want to email me, or text me, or message me? And you may have a certain way you communicate with people. Like when I work with my Pampered Chef people, it's almost always private message, because then it's all in one place, right? My family, I text, and my business coworkers, I email. So, figure out what your system is. But basically, you're really getting down to the nitty-gritty. And I'll tell you what, these people that struggle with habit need this, and they appreciate it, all right? And I'll say, so you're going to text me on, what did I say? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night by 7. And so how will you remember to do that? Now that sounds silly. It almost sounds like you're micromanaging, but these people need it. And they will be grateful. And they are going to say something to you like, I'm going to put a reminder in my phone. All right. And you say, okay, great. So here's all I need for you to message me. Like, this is the Reader's Digest version. I mean, you don't need them to say, well, I called Mary and she said this, and then I called Susie and she was sick, and then, her dog came and jumped on her, and then, you don't need all that. You just need to say, I called 30, I talked to 15, and I got 2 bookings. So you tell them very specifically, I need to know how many you called or reached out to, how many you connected with, and what were the results. How many did you contact? How many did you connect with? What were the results? All right. So giving them, kind of that example really helps. And then I say, okay, great. So I've got a note in my Outlook calendar that you're going to email me by 7 or whatever, text me by 7 on such and such a day. All right. So then they know you hold them accountable. Now, the reason I'm telling you guys this is because I used to have something called WCS. Have you guys ever heard of that? It's pretty serious. WCS, Wimpy Coach Syndrome. Real serious stuff. All right. Like, I used to let people off the hook all the time, or they wouldn't reach their goal because their dog broke his toenail, and I'd be going, oh my gosh, is he okay? So seriously, like, I let everybody off the hook for anything. And I remember when my leader came to me and she said, Cathy, if you don't hold people accountable, then they feel like you don't care about them or their goals. And I thought she had like just stabbed me in the heart, because I was like, of course I do. I care more than anybody, going on and on. So when you hold people accountable, you guys, you're really letting them know that you care about them. Now, if you're coaching aspiring leaders, there needs to be some accountability there. And so you have to make it really clear that they have, what the expectations are. So like when I work with executives and executive bound leaders, they know they have to send me a coaching form 24 hours prior to the call, or the call doesn't happen, right? If I wake up that morning and there's nothing in my email box, then we're not going to have that call, because I need to have time to look at it. Now, I don't know if you guys have a form for your aspiring leaders. I'm actually going to work on one, because I don't think we have a very good one here at Pampered Chef. If they have to cancel, I ask them to cancel 24 hours in advance. And they have to do the action steps they agree to. So under this, what will you do, you guys? They're agreeing to the action steps. They're creating it. I'm not saying, okay, now your goal is to book 2 shows. They're deciding what they're going to do. All right. So Stephanie's asking, how do you handle it if they don't follow up with you when they decided they would? Good question. So I would reach out to them immediately and say, hey, Stephanie, I'm not sure what happened, but I can't wait to hear your results. And chances are she probably forgot, and she's going to respond to me right away. If it happens on a regular basis, I'm probably going to have a tough love conversation with her, saying, it sounds like this right now is not a priority for you. And, that's okay. I know that stuff comes up in our life and, that takes priority. And so you may have some other goals with your business right now. If you want to kind of reset and, work together and really be committed to these goals, let's do that. And if not, I'm happy to open up your slot to somebody else. And when you're ready, come on back, because you're certainly worth the wait. It's not going to be, I'm mad at you because you didn't call me or text me when you said you were going to be, I call it bless and release for a reason. And then I'm big on the bless part. Don't be mad. Don't be frustrated. Just let it go. And when they're ready, they'll come back and jump in. Does that help, Stephanie? Okay. Okay. How do you handle Debbie Downers? Oh, you guys were so good. So Debbie Downers. So here's what I do. I call that wallowing. And I tell people, if you have something, crummy that happened, you have 3 minutes. And if it's a 30-minute call, I might only give them 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to wallow, because I feel like you just need to get this off your chest. So again, you're setting expectations ahead of time, right? So you can wallow for 2 minutes, and then we're going to be solution focused. Can you agree to do that? And then pretty soon Debbie Downer becomes, somebody who either doesn't want to talk to you anymore, or she turns her attitude around. Because trust me, she can go complain to lots of other people, but you guys have to be solution focused. And I'm all for hearing, people out. If there's something serious going on and they're trying to figure out, how to overcome this, problem with a host or something, and you need to help them through it. But that's what I say, 2 minutes of wallowing. If you just need to gripe about it, I'm ready to listen. But then we are going to be solution focused. So then that's what you need to do, is jump into, okay, 2 minutes. Like I set a timer, seriously. I say, now you're going to hear my timer go off, and then we're going to be done. All right. And sometimes they just laugh about it, but man, they talk so fast so they can get their following sometimes. So I know it sounds silly, but it is true. So does that help? Okay.
I love that.
All right. Okay. So just real quick. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say,
go ahead, Trina.
So I loved the, how you say on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed. Oh, Can you hear me? Mine's giving me a weird message.
Yeah.
Okay, it was saying that it can't.
Yep, I got you.
Okay, so if you say like on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you? And they say 6. Like, what do you do? Like, honestly, if they're not a 10, like then you're just going to be through the circle of they didn't get back to you, and now we're having this isn't a priority. Like, should you reset the goal, or do you what do you do with that? I know you mentioned. Well, what can we do to get you to a 10? But is it more like, well, if you're only a 6, then why is this your goal?
So The goal is to do it without judgment, Trina, because that's what you kind of want to say, like, what are you thinking, right?
Right.
But the goal
is without judgment. Like, well, why wouldn't we set a goal that we're a 10 at?
Right,
and is it better for them to set a higher goal that they're only a 6, or is it better, like, where should we steer that, I guess?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the first thing I say is, what would it take for you? It's not we, it's you. What would it take for you to get to a 10? Okay, so what is making you say it's only a 6? And they might just say, well, I'm not sure if I can do it. And I would say, well, is it because the goal sounds too difficult, or what's getting in the way? So you do some problem solving with them and find out why they're setting it at that level.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right? So if it's just like lack of belief, then the conversation goes to back to reality, which is skill, habit, or belief. What's stopping you? Which one of these do you need to work on? So then you kind of go right back to that, and it just goes right again through the process.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. So, yeah, good questions. I mean, here's the thing with like the call to action, you have to be kind of friendly but firm. You know, so you're not going to be mean about things like this, and they're setting their own call to actions. So, you know, you need to find out where their commitment level is. It's a real important question. So I have a call to action for you guys. And I know that, Trina, you may have some other stuff to do with them. So, and where our time is up. Man, this went really fast. I really want to have more time to answer questions. But what I want you guys to think about is right now, who do you want to start coaching first? And I want you to call and invite them to start having coaching calls. And it's really important to tell them what you see in them and to ask if they'd like to get more out of their business. And, you know, if they say no, then you're going to call the next person until you find somebody who really does want more. I recommend you pull up your performance tracker. You start at the bottom and then you work your way up to the top, because the bottom of the list, those are people that, you know, are the newest, and work your way up to the top. The rule is you can't skip any, right? Because you are prejudging usually if you skip, like, oh, I don't know, she wasn't into it last time. But you never know if, like, her husband just got laid off the day before. So events and circumstances change, and leaders initiate connection. Leaders initiate connections, but you have to be reaching out to people on occasion, right? And so, you know, if they say no, call the next person until you find someone who wants more. And, you know, if nobody wants more and you've started at the bottom and you've gone through your whole list without skipping anybody, then you need new blood. You need to spend the time making those recruiting calls. All right, so here's some word choices. You can even just take a picture of the screen if you want, if that would be helpful for you. So, you know, let's say I'm calling Mary, and I would say, you know, hey, Mary, I noticed that you've been, you know, very consistent in your sales, and you also are so great at building relationships with other people. I just see so much potential in you, and I'm wondering if you'd like to get more out of your business, right? First of all, that's a compliment. Not only did I compliment what she did, which is her results, I complimented who she was, which is more meaningful than anything, right? So I wait for her response, and then I would say, you know, you're someone I'd really like to work with. I'd love to hold a 30-minute call or Zoom chat, whatever it is, once a week, every other week, however you decide to do that. You know, is this something you would be interested in? All right. So that is really my challenge to you guys, so that you can really implement this coaching. You know, obviously starting with newer consultants, but there may be some existing consultants that need this information. So anyway, I know your time is up. Do we have a few minutes if people still have questions?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, we'll take your...
Shelley wants me in her back pocket. Oh, you're so well, guess what? You've got Trina in your back pocket, so that is a plus. So I am actually in the process of working on a coaching sheet that I'd be happy to send to you guys. Do you have one that you use, Trina?
For that, no. I mean, like I've done Google Forms and things like that, but nothing consistent. And I think I definitely need a system for that, for sure.
Yeah, so we really have not done a great job at that at Pampered Chef of getting we used to have some really good stuff, but we haven't really done a lot of it. So as I was putting this together, I was like, all right, well, if it's not done, someone needs to do it, and that someone should be me. So, right? You can't say someone needs to do it without just doing it. So I'm going to do that. I also was going to send you guys a list of some, commonly asked questions. But we have like 3 major events this week, and then I'm going to Vegas to do a retreat. So it probably won't be within the next week, but I will send you the handout with the Grow coaching model, and it does give you some scenarios of questions. So do we have time for a couple questions if anybody has them?
Yeah, well, you've got her, guys. Is there anything else that you guys want specifically to ask her?
They're like, nope, we're ready for bed.
Okay, so for the call to action, I know you said to start from the bottom of the list. Do you have to start from the bottom, or can I just go with like the people that I think could be amazing and are really not doing much?
You know what? It's your decision, Mary, really. So you might have somebody that you're just like, I know I want to call this person. That's fine. The reason I say start at the bottom and go all the way up to the top is because usually the newer people are much more likely to say yes than the people that are up here. They're not doing a lot because they really hasn't been a priority for them. And what I feel like is it starts to become a convince and coerce conversation, where you're kind of dragging them along versus a, hey, this is what I see in you. I think you could do this. Now, you're eventually going to get to those people, and it may kind of feel like that, but I don't want it to. I want it to feel like you're really encouraging them, but you don't want to be a tow truck, as we say, where you're pulling them along all the time. So they have to decide to take action, right? And if they don't take action, again, you just call the next, or you go and recruit some more people.
Okay, thank you.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Who else? Somebody else started asking something, it looked like. No?
I had all these questions, but then I'm like, I think she addressed them by the time I got through. I wrote them all in blue so I could remember.
Oh. No worries. I'm going to show you guys one more thing. This is the handout I'm going to send to you. All right, can you see that?
It's thinking. There it goes.
Okay, so this is the grow thing. I have no idea what this line is, and I don't know how to get rid of it. So sorry, you'll have to deal with that. Maybe you all are smarter than I am, and you can figure it out. So there's some good coaching words on this handout for different situations. So for new consultants, I love this part that says it's my responsibility to help you get the results you want from this business. It's normal that you're going to have great things happen as well as some disappointments. We'll be in regular contact so we can celebrate all successes and address any obstacles along the way. How might that be helpful to you? So that is an open-ended question. It's actually better than the question I wrote on the slide, because the slide, I put a yes-no question, which is this something you'd be interested in? So how might that be helpful to you is a good question. So then you'll go down here under existing consultants, and you'll see where it says, is my responsibility, etc. Then come back up to these highlighted words, and you can read that. All right, does that make sense?
Yes.
So yeah, there's lots of things like when personal life gets in the way, tough love coaching moments. So these are some examples of some things that you guys can do. All right, let's see if there's anything else in the chat. Debbie Downers, we got. You like the scripts, Shelley? Very good. Stephanie. So was this helpful for you guys? Do you feel like this is like the coaching that you've been doing, or is it different?
I like this. I think I really talked to Trina about this because she and I were having these conversations, and I was like, I need to learn how to have these conversations with my own teammates. So this is, for me, has been really good because I feel like half of the battle is the conversation, and not only the conversation, but how to use the right words to make progress where, like you said, you're not telling them what to do, but they're kind of coming up with it, and the belief and the buy-in is there. So I really appreciated this a lot.
Very good. Good, Shelley. I'm so glad to hear that. Good. Melinda, Stephanie, anybody else have something they'd like to share about what you liked about it or question? Mary says she didn't know how to converse with her team. Thanks for being honest about that, Mary. I remember feeling that way myself. Anybody else?
I liked the change of the language. I feel like I've been trying to communicate with my team, and I probably have been doing a lot of the D's questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying to change the script instead of just asking people, what are you doing?
Okay.
What are you not doing?
Yeah, exactly. Because then you feel like you're like their mother, like you're on top of them about it, right? Instead of being a mentor and being encouraging. And
right.
As well as coaching, yeah, good. Anything else that stood out to somebody that they wanted to share?
Just one other thing real quick, sorry. Just one other thing I wanted to just point out is that, and even with all the other trainings that we've had tonight, I feel like it's so important for us to continue the conversation with our consultants, because I feel like we do really well with the first, 30, 60, 90 days or whatever. And after that, sometimes I feel like we're kind of flailing a little bit of trying to figure out what do we talk to them next and how do we help them set those goals and things like that. So this, I think, is not only great for our team, I think it'd be great for a lot of different people too. I mean, I know the trainings are out there, but to hear it from your perspective and give us the tools like this that are more practical, we can write things down and plan things out. I just think that's super beneficial.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad, Shelley. And, here's the thing too, what you need to do is as you get questions, go right to Trina and say, okay, when they said this, I was like trying to figure out which direction to go, because she's done lots of coaching and can help you with that. And then somebody else was going to jump in.
Well, I was going to say, I love the 3 buckets, like this idea of, because looking at that, I'm like, okay, because when you are doing it, it's like, well, we need to identify, because it's going to come down when we're dealing with this and we're trying to help them to set a goal. It's going to come down to their habits. Like, okay, are they setting time aside? Are they being intentional? Are they doing the systems? Like, what are they doing? And then figuring out that roadblock. Like, if they are doing that, like if we can figure out if they are doing that, then it probably is that belief. And if we can help them believe, then we can teach them the skill so they can go back to their first bucket, honestly, and just start doing that. So I think I forget, that it's that, I don't know. I just love the asking questions and the figuring out that it really is going to come back to those 3 buckets. And if we just simplify that as like, we think it's all these issues, like we were naming all of these problems and we're like, it's just one bucket, guys. It's the same issue. It's the same thing that we're running up against. And that is coached the same, whether they struggle with organization or time management or, whatever it is, like that's still teaching them that same initial skill of setting that goal.
Yeah. And I think the other important thing, Trina, you just made me think about is to continue to nurture yourself, continue to learn. Like if you hear from people talking about time management, Google a few things. Like there's an 18-minute TED Talk by Roy Vaden that's like phenomenal that you can go and say to somebody, okay, so I have a suggestion, when they can't think of anything, talk to them about the 18-minute TED Talk from Roy Vaden on how to eliminate, automate, and duplicate. And it's incredibly helpful. So, make sure you're pouring into yourself and nurturing yourself with the most common things you get from your team as well. So anyway, I know, Trina, you might need to wrap up and stuff, so I'm going to sign off. And you guys, thanks so much for being here. I'm looking forward to a fabulous 2019. I've got all your goals written here in gold ink. No. So I will be excited to... What's that?
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Really you bet. You bet. All right. You guys take care. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. See you guys.
There you go. Okay, I was like, I know that when she pops up. Okay, awesome. Okay, I know we are running a little bit over, so I'll get us to come back in for just a little bit. One of the things that I was really excited, because then I think it might have even been after a call, Shelley, with you, and I had my next call with Cathy, and I kind of told her, like, man, I'm like, some of it is because I don't, I have failed in the, hey, showing you guys what it's like to coach you guys. And so then you guys don't go, oh, I know, I'll just do the talk that I have with Trina, but with my people, so like just for me learning how to do this. But what I would love to see from our organization in 2019. I mean, our name is called Goal Crushers, and it's because, you know, when we first started evolving as a team, we would set these big, fat, hairy goals, and then we would work with all those specific granular things to get them and to do them. And then we would just be able to continue to celebrate, or we would reset and go after it again. And I feel like it really empowered us, and it made us feel like we were doing things, and we were, the momentum and the speed and the culture was great. And I think some of what we've lost is as we all grew and like became leaders ourselves, we kind of lost that. Well, how do we help people set smaller goals that are just as crucial and just as important? Like that person on your team that has that huge goal to them of being part of the 500 club, like that's so big, and maybe that's all they do all month long, but they did it by the 15th. Like helping them figure out what that goal is and taking that walk and going alongside it, I think is so important. You know, and if we could figure out, again, every single person is not going to tell us what their goal is, you know, because they might not have any. Well, I don't plan on doing anything this month. And just like not taking that personally and being able to work with that top 20% in this type of a fashion, I mean, guys, your teams would just skyrocket. You know, becoming green would never be an issue. You would feel so fulfilled because you would be having these great conversations with people, and they would be going places. You know, I just think that it would be really, really evident to be able to help you guys get to where you're going. Like I said, everybody on here said that they wanted Disney. You know what I mean? So being able to have this ability of coaching people and coaching leaders and coaching these new consultants to qualify so that when you do get that recruit, they don't fall off, I think is so important. So I would just really love for us to be empowered in teaching our people what they've got going on. Okay, so I will, I feel like I'm frozen. Can you guys hear me? Give me a holler in the chat if you can hear me. You're all frozen.
We can hear you.
Okay, I was like, everybody's frozen, so I can't tell if there's any. Okay, good. My internet connection is unstable. Perfect. Okay, so you guys will see coming up here what I think I said January 12th, I think is what I said would be the ideal of some of the homework that I'm going to be posting to be able to put up. I hope you guys found this worthwhile. We're really blessed to be able to have those three powerhouses come and speak with us tonight. Okay, do you have any questions or anything for me before I let you go? Good. Okay, thank you so much.
So I'm.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Shelley.
Oh, sorry. So all of these things that we're doing, I think it's great, but I'm trying to figure out how. There's two things that are in my brain right now. One is how do we manage our time for host coaching or for coaching our teammates and all that sort of stuff. And then do you have a system that you use for like each person so that you can track their goals and how they're doing with that? Or do you put that more on the person?
I put that more on the person, but honestly, I really shouldn't, because what I've learned from some of these last coaching sessions with Cathy Cocozzella is she writes them down and she knows exactly what we said in the last phone call. You know what I mean? So she doesn't have to worry about it. I don't have to try to remember. If I am a flake and I don't remember, like she's got it right there. Like just being able to have that system. Something that I am going to be prioritizing in January that I've written down is I want to write down what are the systems that I use. And because sometimes like the things that I use, like sometimes I just do it naturally and it doesn't occur to me that I need to pinpoint what that is so that I can become duplicatable with it. And then some of it is, why am I recreating the wheel? Just get the stupid host coaching checklist and use it, Trina. Just get it and use it so that you can hand it to your new consultants and they can use it. So just some of those aspects with it is just having us figure out those systems and figuring out what does that look like on our end as leaders when we also have this strong personal business, you know, that Steve, you know, kicked us in the tail that we need to have in addition to having this other aspect and this other plate spinning. Hopefully that answered your question or at least addressed it. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I will have the recording for this up as well, just so that you guys can go through things and be able to look through it. if there isn't anything else, then I will give you guys a have a happy new year. I hope you guys get to spend some time with your family, take some time reflecting, and making sure that your team knows what is going on with you guys for the new year. Okay. I would love to see you guys, again, setting your own personal goals as far as we need to come up with a team, an organizational recruiting goal. And so I would love to see, like, hey, you know, comparing last year's, but for you guys to figure out what is the piece that you want, and then for us to be able to add those all together so that we can get that organizational goal, so that you can each have a piece that you are working for, you know, like, okay, we're going to recruit 20 this year, or we're going to recruit, you know, 10 or 15 or 40 or whatever, you know, big fat hairy goal, 100, I don't know, whatever it is that you're going to do, so that we can come together as an organization then and kind of, you know, put those pieces of the pie together so that we know that we're all kind of working together as a unit. Okay, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.